Hope is affordable and available nationwide.
Kite Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Purvis 99.5 FM. Kite Radio.
Now 13 hours 30 all across this beautiful country of ours, Guyana, and it is time for COVID-19 and Elections Watch with senior journalist of Kite News, Mr. Leonard Gildarie, alongside his co-host, Dr. Yog Mahadeo. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Yog, thank God it's Friday. The boys in the studio, they're drunk, and it's only 1:30.
I don't believe that. Those boys work with extremely a good appreciation of discipline and their job ethics. So no way, not Kevin, not Joshua. No way, not Raj either.
But let me tell you this, how long you work remotely, you're not seeing what happened. You need to be hands-on. It's like running a government. You need to be hands-on. When it comes to COVID-19, Yog, you have to be in the studio. You have to be on the roads. So
I am following the words of my president. I don't have to be out there.
Well, let's see how that goes, my friend. But it is, I want to say thank you very much. It's July the 3rd, and it is Friday. It is Friday, July the 3rd, 2020. It's more than 120 days, 4 months since elections 2020. Until such time that we have a resolution, we'll keep reminding our good people of Guyana how much time we've lost when we could have put the, our shoulders to the wheel and do some production for this country here. So thank you very much for having us bear the 4 months, and we are going to be out of the woods very shortly, and that is a given. So today I want to say welcome to all our people right across this beautiful land of ours to Elections COVID-19 Watch here on Kite Radio. And I was told by my people down in the studio, Kevin, Joshua, and of course Raj, that our people should come on and they should subscribe to, I think, do you subscribe to the Facebook as well? But you should like it. And also the YouTube, we have a Kite Radio YouTube, and you should also subscribe to that. So as soon as anything breaks, we come on live, you're going to automatically get it, and you will be able to follow us from there. So I've been asked to give you that message. It's free, and there's no charge to it, according to our good boy in the studio here, Kevin. Kevin is rearing to have no show on Monday because it's a holiday, but we have our work to do. So I am here to make him very happy. We're probably going to be here Monday. Yog?
No comment. Monday is CARICOM Day, and
we should observe it.
Absolutely,
yeah,
we have to observe CARICOM Day. It's a look. I would not want to dishonor the vision of Lyndon Forbes, Sampson Burnham, and all the work they did to put together CARICOM and all of these things. So it's CARICOM, and we gotta respect. And jokes aside, though, we have to. It's a day in which we need to probably do an assessment as to where we are with CARICOM. But, CARICOM is in new hands as of today.
Yes, and that among other things, because there's some statements that has been coming out from the new chairman who's taken over from Mia Motley from Barbados, that prime minister from Barbados who's been in the news lately, has fallen under the notice of all in the region across the world, with not only how she has managed CARICOM, her country, but also with regards to her stance on Guyana. She's come under severe criticisms. Ralph Gonsalves, it seems, who's taken over, the Prime Minister, also who's taken over as a new chair, he has also come under some criticisms, but he had some words today, so we're going to talk about that. So let's very quickly, Yog, there are some major news this morning when it comes to elections 2020. There was a court case involving the chief elections officer, Keith Lowenfield, and he, no surprise here, Yog, did not turn up in court. There are three summons, I understand, that was issued. They were asked for by Special Prosecutor Glenn Hanneman, attorney at law Glenn Hanneman. And as you would recall, a few days back, there was private criminal charges filed against Keith Lowenfield as a chief elections officer for what would have been seen by at least one political candidate as some acts, criminal acts that he allegedly carried out in his functions as a chief elections officer. And so Glenn Hanneman would have appeared in court, or they were at court 5 this morning before Magistrate Agosti, I understand. And there was a no-show by Keith Lowenfield, and the special prosecutor asked the court for summons. 3 summons were granted for it to be served by police on Keith Lowenfield for him to appear in court. So we are going to talk a little about that. Glenn Hanneman, as special prosecutor, also indicated to reporters that based on his instructions, based on what he knows, that more criminal charges are likely from a number of other persons, and so we should be looking out for that. In the meantime, across in the COVID area, there's a mining halt in some areas which have been seen as epicenters of the COVID-19, and this is around the Aranca area in the Cuyuni-Mazaruni area there. That has been seen a major spike. As we on the COVID-19 as well, Maburuma's Region 1 Chairman, who is Brenton Ashley, hello to the folks over there. They have been battling a COVID outbreak in some areas, especially Santa Rosa there. He's saying that he's asking the authorities to put a 2 weeks lockdown to control that region there, especially Maburuma, which I think is where he's located. He believes that the 2-week lockdown is going to put some control to that situation. And of course, quickly to the headlines, there was a statement not too long ago from the UN representative in Guyana, and we're going to read to you that. But let's go quickly to the front page of Kaiser News, and then I hand it over to my good co-host, Yog Mahadeo. Front page Kaiser News today, July the 3rd, 2020. It's Friday. Thank God it's Friday. Not sure. We are looking at whether it's Friday, Saturday, and whether we should be thanking God for the situation that we have forced upon us at the moment as people of Guyana. Winston Jordan leaves Guyana in $1.3 billion debt for 2020, the end of year statement. And this is a situation that Yog and myself and Kaiser News has been following very closely. What has been reportedly the financial situation that Guyana, the economic situation that Guyana is finding itself into, $92 billion according to the last count in terms of the debt deficit. The main headline, Yog, this is a very, very strange story. I was reading it, had to take a second read, and it's very interesting. Despite developers' refusal, government issued him 30 acres of prime Ogle lands. Transaction gazetted even before notice of pay letter was received. Here, the funny story is this. Yog Mahadeo indicated to government that he wants to buy a piece of land because he wants to, the customer in this particular case, or the business person, the developer, is the people who developed the Windsor Estate, a beautiful place. If you ever gone in there, it's like one of the most beautiful places that I've ever seen in terms of a gated community. He wanted to expand that project there by having a piece of land at Ogle. So government NISIL announced that it is open, and so he applied. But the elections hit Guyana, and he says, no, at this point in time, I'm not going to do anything until there's a very clear resolution to this election. I don't want to be viewed as anybody special, so let's put it on pause. Any case, they wrote him and tell him, please pay up the $900 million that you were supposed to pay for this transaction. We want to get it over with. He wrote them back and says, no, I'm not interested. I'm going to put it on pause again. That's 2 times. It so happened that when they wrote him the second time, they already put the thing in the man's name. Yog, would you believe that? So you haven't paid any money at all. Here's the situation. You haven't paid any money at all, and you've already indicated that you're not interested at this point in time. So he didn't pay, but they went ahead and put it in his name. 30 acres worth over $900 million. But he is not the only one. They had about 5, 6 other cases. Big companies who want to put on hotels. So that they put these lands in. These things were gazetted. When you put it in the gazette, you can't take it out back except if you go to court. Yog, very, very serious situation. I'm not sure what happened there, but somebody has to answer, the Ministry of Finance. I'm not sure how you're going to get out of this. How do you put a company, how do you put lands, prime land? This is not ordinary land. This is at Ogle. This is prime area that they're going to land a 4-lane, I think, or whatever bypass from the East Bank, linking the east coast of Demerara. Along the East Bank there, behind by the Providence, they're going to do a bypass there before Eccles, around that area to Ogle, linking the East Bank to the East Coast. It's a major project that is probably going to be Indian. India is going to fund that, I understand. But this developer says, I don't want the land, and they went ahead and gave him without he paying. So we don't know what happened to the other areas. That's what the story is saying. Very, very serious story. Lowenfield to face court today for misconduct. We did discuss that. Mass van bandits invade home, shoot, rob businessmen. I thought we were over with these things at least, such hard time. A security guard fights a gun-toting motorcycle bandit. I did see the video on this. Very shocking how he's scrambling. Very brave man, because the guys them had a gun and he scrambled with them. I think the gun, if I saw right, the gun fell on the ground and then he was able to scale a fence to escape. Bartika businessman is Guyana's 14th COVID-19 fatality. Yog, 2 days after weeks of no deaths, we had 2 deaths within 2 days. This is worrisome, especially with taking that into consideration that in the other areas, Region 1, there is a major spike. Yesterday, we would have reported that the airport had halted, or the authorities has stopped the airport from opening for another month or so for a reassessment of the situation with COVID-19. Then, of course, I think the one that took the cake today into the newspaper was a story about Lowenfield in 2015. And Yog, 2015, let me just read the headline because I want you to get into that. Voters impersonation not just possible. This is Lowenfield in 2015. It takes context, especially with now, they're saying that the same man who's the chief elections officer who's facing charges, private criminal charges before the court, in 2015 saying, it was not possible. There's too much checks and balances for you to be able to vote twice in election. The same man, in some documents to the court, or documents that he submitted, wiping off 115,000 voters from voting, he wiped off 115,000 voters who voted. This is the same man in 2015 that said that, and he is claiming now that the same elections that he oversaw and managed, a bunch of people dead people among other things, went and vote. So I stop here and I go to my colleague who's in white. A good day to you, Yog Mahadeo, and to all our people across this country. And of course, overseas where you're joining us from. Very hot day. We're going to get right into the news and analysis as to what happened. And Yog, last night I did enjoy that interview with Freddie Kissoon. He doesn't hold back any punches at all.
Correct. Leonard, last night's interview with Freddie Kissoon was indeed interesting. He outlined quite a number of scenarios and, hypotheses, as well as some very factual realities of the Guyana situation. Let's go to the Lowenfield story, because that one is very important given what we're doing and what's happening presently. So, Leonard, a couple of things. One is that you are right. This is the same man who, in a previous election, said that GCOM's systems are so strong that it is impossible to have voter impersonation. Same guy said that. Mm-hmm. In 2020, he has listened to his political masters. Let's look at what Timothy Jonas said. Timothy Jonas expressed an opinion that GCOM seems to be in cahoots with APNU AFC. And based on all the moves we are seeing from day one, from March 3rd to now, we are seeing that playing out in every possible way. Now, Lowenfield took upon himself to interpret in his personal way what votes mean, what valid votes mean. And that interpretation that he has taken is to sing to the tune of his political masters. I believe that he has listened to ACNU AFC, who has pleaded to him, like, some crybabies went and say, oh, you have 5 ticks. Nobody verified these ticks, mind you. Not a single independent observer was allowed to verify that those ticks that they claimed were indeed ticked. Not a single independent verification. Yet this man went and he took all the APNU, whatever APNU FC said, he took that, put it in his report and said, that's it. The same APNU FC that, as you rightly said, decided that notwithstanding somebody hasn't paid for a land, they will put it in his name anyhow. Notwithstanding what's going on, notwithstanding them being given the caretaker government status by the CCJ since 30th of September 2019, they're giving away duty-free concessions. They're doing all that they want to do. Who can stop them and who will stop them? And to top it all off, a couple of days ago, David Granger, no less than David Granger, endorsed what Keith Lowenfield is doing. Endorsed and said he did well, he's done well, and he stands by his report, and that report will have to be presented. The same David Granger who said he doesn't interfere with GCOM, he suddenly, as whatever position he thinks he has in GCOM, he has endorsed Keith Lowenfield report. Now, today what's happening? One by one, action must be taken against all those who have been involved in rigging these elections. I don't care which side they are from. I don't care what political party they are from. One by one, legal action must be taken against those who has held this country at ransom for $8 billion. The tab for this election, and not just the monetary tab, from registration to now, not just the monetary tab, the psychological damage, the image that they have destroyed of Guyana, everything. And Leonard, what is extremely worrying is that the police has created layers in front of Lowenfield so that a court-martial cannot even serve or a person cannot even serve a summon.
Where is that? In his office or his home?
I don't know. They went to his office, they went to his home, and in every instance they are faced with officers who are purportedly protecting the gentleman. And if the police can be a barrier between the court, nobody is saying he's guilty. You got to go to court to prove whether he's guilty or innocent. But if the police will be a barrier between that, then something's wrong. And I support what has come out later, where, the applicants in front of the court have said, well, look, it's the police duty to help us get this summons delivered, so we're asking the police to help. So, Leonard, you are right. It's madness, to use your own word. It's crazy what's happening, and it's crazy that the police, remember, it's no less than David Granger who said a couple of days ago that he has kept the commissioner of police for one purpose only, and that is to manage these elections. Like there is no other person that could have been promoted and send a man off on his leave, pre-retirement leave. There's nobody else in the police force that could have been promoted and do an effective job. It had to be this guy. It had to be him and his assistant. So one by one, you have to start connecting these dots. It doesn't bode well for the next couple of days. The only thing that I will join you with saying, thank God it's Friday, is because it brings us closer to next Wednesday.
Well, let us see. What should be instructive to note also, Yog, is that the same man went to the front gate and sat down on the road and waited for the marshals to come serve him, is
Yes.
unavailable at the moment to take the summons or to take the notice from the court that he has to attend. He didn't take it. I think he was unavailable. He remains unavailable. And if you say there are layers of police, then it's obvious where Lowen feel. Well, it has been obvious for some time, but it is slowly being written in the sand, being cemented in the ground. What exactly the games that he's playing, and let us don't uh, 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 play with words here, Yog. It is very, very clear what Lowenfield is doing, and all Guyana should be taken notice. I think the chief prosecutor, I did say it a little earlier, Glenn Hanneman, has indicated very, very clearly that there are going to be more charges on him. So I'm not sure why Keith Lowenfield would want to subject himself to that and then afterwards live with the wrath of the people of Guyana with regards to what he's been doing. It's very, very clear. You make yourself available to take the summons to stop the court case, the other court case that is now before the Caribbean Court of Justice. He actually went to the front gate, I understand, and probably picked it up from there. He signed for it, maybe. Now he's unavailable because this is the one he has to go to court.
And Leonard, you would have this country will remember. I mean, look, there's not a single Guyanese that I can say I know, or even don't know. I don't think there is anybody who would want to wish any personal harm to anyone in this country. I mean, I've seen some of the rascals, not even living here, calling on people to take all kinds of action. And you know, I let me use a word we use while spraying. I rebuke these people, man. But there's nobody here that you know, we are a non-violent people. There's nobody here that wants to take that wish even. We don't wish any personal harm to anybody. What we wish is let the court have its way. If you do wrong, let the court make a determination, and then if you're guilty, you're guilty. If you're innocent, you're innocent. Now, you remember the last day, as you said, when he was awaiting to receive that, when he availed himself to receive that summon. The man traveled with layers of, I mean, I think the guy, I may be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I certainly apologize, but I don't think my eyes deceive me. With the videos we saw online, he's traveling with outriders. And so he has protection against what and for what?
Hold on, I just
For
got a
what?
text. I just got a text here, Yog. They say, and I think GCOM should answer this. I'm putting it out here and let them answer it. If Yolanda Ward is listening, who's the public relations officer, somebody saying that they took away the Land Cruiser that was assigned to the chair. Listen to this. There's some maroon Land Cruiser that was assigned to the chair, and this is Justice Retired Claudette Singh. They took it away from her, or they reassigned it, and she was left without any vehicles. She had to use her personal vehicle. This is a chair, you know, and they give it to the chief elections officer. The Land Cruiser. There's some Land Cruiser or something. I don't know if there's any importance. If there's any importance to that, but somebody is saying that you should check into it because these are the kind of things that you're looking at. But we'd have to look in and see whether the chair would have had any issues with that if it is that they're short of vehicles. I don't understand, and planning with $8 billion, probably going past $10 billion now, whether there was any provisions made in that money there, so our chair could have been a little more comfortable. Not that we want our monies to be spent willy-nilly all over the place when the importance of elections and the elections activities should be pursued. But it is something that we should look into. We're probably going to have to ask the reporters. But Yog, very quickly, on the taking over his acceptance speech, if you want to call it that, Ralph Gonzalez as the new chair for CARICOM, and I'm quoting here what has been reported. Mayor Motley's helpful initiative to assist in the preservation of democracy in Guyana within the terms of CARICOM Charter Civil Society will long be remembered despite unwarranted, vulgar, and opportunistic criticisms of her from assorted jaundiced sources who ought to know better. And this is what he said in his inaugural speech as a chairman of CARICOM. I'm just quoting here what was reported, and then if you look back at his word, let me just repeat, her will long be remembered despite unwarranted, vulgar, and opportunistic criticisms of her from assorted jaundiced sources who ought to know better. Politicians like the play of words here, but these are interesting words coming from the new CARICOM chair, whom Guyana would have to be dealing with. That's one. Two, we have their headquarters here. That's two. And the other thing is, we'd have to relook at our diplomatic relations, not only with CARICOM, but the entire way. Should we be apologizing right now? These people are going to be looking at us. Caribbean Court, I think, they should not be looking at us because there's a case before them, but I'm sure some of it is going to filter. These people are human beings as well, Yog.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And Leonard, excuse me. Indeed, I mean, there was obvious region-wide admiration for the role Myanmar Motley would have played during her tenure as the chairman of CARICOM. I mean, you have seen her be very assertive, and she does not hesitate to give some jabs and punches, albeit diplomatically. Like last week when she said, "Look, the truth hurts," and you know, she didn't have to say more. So Mia Motley has been extremely good at the helm, and I think this morning's, if you listen to the talk this morning on her report, I mean, they have been able to garner support from African countries, from around the world, to help the Caribbean, Leonard.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we have to question, well, where has Guyana been? Why is Guyana continuously under perpetual shame? Why we continue to embarrass ourselves that we cannot be part of such a admirable platform? And you know what would be strange? I'm telling you, I want to see if and when David Granger is going to send a congratulations to Ralph Gonsalves. And I want to see, because Monday is CARICOM Day, a public holiday in Guyana. It's already been gazetted. So it's a public holiday, and we're celebrating CARICOM. And on that note, Leonard, let me just say hello to, I think Wednesday the 1st, we did not say it in any big way, but let's say hi, belated Canada Day to our viewers and listeners all across Canada. You know, and belated Happy Independence Day there, Happy Canada Day. And of course, tomorrow is a big day in the United States. It's 4th of July. It's Independence Day in the United States. So, you know, best wishes across to our brothers and sisters there who keep joining this program and everybody else.
Yes, it is, Yog. And very quickly, Yog, if I may, United Nations Guyana, and this is very, very important. United Nations, we're part of that. I think in 2015, when David Granger would have taken over and became the new president of Guyana, he would have journeyed to New York, Manhattan, and made his first speech there as a president of Guyana. Fortunately, I was there to cover it, and it brought tears to a couple of persons' eyes that was there. I was paying attention because United Nations, big tall buildings, all the world leaders were there, and we fast forward 5 years later, how the table has turned, how the world has changed. COVID-19, elections 2020. So United Nations resident coordinator Mikiko Tanaka, and this is a statement that was issued today, as the ruling of the Caribbean Court of Justice is awaited, we call on all political leaders and their supporters to remain patient and refrain from acts and remarks that could incite hostility or violence. I would like to reiterate that the United Nations commitment to continue to support the people of Guyana. And these are very good advices coming there from the United Nations resident coordinator, Ms. Tanaka. Good day to you, Ms. Tanaka, one of the ambassadors from the United Nations is in Guyana at the moment. And Yog, the messages have been coming fast and furious when it comes to Guyana and the rule of law, and when it comes to everybody's paying attention. I think it was made very clear. We had Freddie Kissoon last evening. Everybody knows Freddie. Freddie has been around for more than 2 decades with Kaiser News. He is well liked as well as well. How you say it? Is he well disliked as well, Yog? But I don't know. Freddie Kissoon has been doing a tremendous work when it
I
comes to bringing the pieces that brings for good argument, good debate, and which is something that
I would put it this way, Leonard. Is Kaitor News is our election what's liked or is it disliked? It depends. I mean, when you keep on being consistently doing what you're doing, it's amazing that in pre-2015, it was the PPP government that had an extreme dislike for Freddie Kissoon. And now it's the APNU AFC government that has an extreme dislike. So Freddie didn't change. We haven't changed.
by
Kaiser
extension,
News didn't change.
Kaiser News didn't change either. But no, it is a good thing. You
Right.
know, I was telling a young reporter this morning, if it is that you're writing a report, a story, a nice little story, and nobody talks about it, relook at the way that you're doing things or how you've written it and how you're dealing with it, whether you're sharing it, whether why people are not reading it. Is it that your headline is bad? It's badly written. It doesn't have enough content. You need to relook at what you're doing because it means that you're not doing enough. If people are sharing it, people are talking about it, people are debating about it, it means that you've done something. Freddie has been heavily debated back and forth. Whether you like it or not, he's been wrong. He's criticized all and sundry. Last evening, I think he did not. If you missed that, you need to go back. Go back to Kaicho Radio on Facebook, on YouTube. Go to Yoke's page, go to my page, and you're gonna get it right there. But he has taken on everybody. He was critical of the new parties that are there. He was critical of the PPP. He was critical of the coalition. He was asked about what kind of who he would like to see in a PPP's cabinet. And so there are many things that is going to come out in true Freddie style. So if you've missed it, go back, look at it. You're going to enjoy every minute of it. Freddie was measured in his response. I think he was scared of Yog and myself. I have no idea why I'm saying that, but I believe it was more of Yog.
I don't think so. I
I'm
think
just
one thing
kidding.
you have to respect, one
Yes,
thing you have to respect Freddie Kissoon for is that he is outspoken in his
yes,
views. And the other thing that Freddie is extremely good at, he you, you could have a conversation with Freddie that you're able to connect the dots. You're able to see him mapping out his logic in his presentations. And you're seeing it in his writings too. Unfortunately, I think what's been happening is that, having him constrained to so much column inches in a newspaper does not give him the ability to be as expansive and expressive as he wants to be. So I was kind of smiling last night when Freddie, had to kind of, respectfully be careful of his words because Freddie has faced so much hate
yes.
and the challenges of libel and so forth is there.
No,
But Leonard, the other thing too that is extremely important in all of this is when he would have alluded last night, as you said, he came out swinging at everybody who he felt contributed to us being in the mess we are in as a country with over 54 years of independence.
yes.
And you cannot fault the logic in terms of had we all placed Guyana first rather than political party first, this country would have been in a very, very different place today. Now, just quickly, if I may, Lowenfield, coming back to Lowenfield, and these are some of the things we didn't get to discuss with Freddie last night. Hopefully, in a week's time, we can bring him back.
Mhm.
But Lowenfield, in February this year, Leonard, in February last year, sorry, I think when they were gearing up towards these elections and all of that, Lowenfield would have made a statement that the commission has to direct him. The commission has to so direct him in writing for him to do what the commission requires him to do. The Commissioner Alexander said a couple of weeks back that the commission directed the chief elections officer in the last elections and in the one before. And so by that, one would say that the commission can certainly and will certainly direct Lowenfield. However, Lowenfield's letter that he released the other day said, he does not have to listen to anybody. And those are alarming statements. This is not just cognitive dissonance anymore. This is blatant, outrageous lies that is obviously fulfilling a political diktat. So it's amazing to see how they're changing the words depending on who holds political office, Leonard.
And don't forget, we come back to that very, very important statement from the Secretary of State with regards to his instruction to that, his instructions about who to hold accountable. And in talking to a number of persons as to who likely are the ones to receive sanctions or let's likely we reach that stage, it's not only going to be political actors and GCOM actors and everybody, but it could also very well involve people who are spreading the narratives. Even media people that could be involved in this. Last night I heard that and I said, wow, this is something that is new to Guyana. It is unexplored, maybe uncharted waters that we're in right now, but it's something that we have to be very careful. The U.S. is watching. This is something I don't think people understand. Our very way of life, everything is going to be affected if you walk down the road of sanctions. You're going to stop trading. You're going to hold on to your oil because you can't sell it anywhere. I think ExxonMobil will be stopped from doing any kind of business. Even if they're allowed to continue the transaction, you will not be able to access the money. So there's many, many things. Families, the people involved, plus the families, they're not going to be able to travel anymore. If you got any property over there, that's going to be frozen. All those kind of things are going to happen. You're going to find problems if it extends to Guyana in a bigger way eventually, that you're not going to have Western Union being able to access that in a good way. You're going to have problems sending money overseas to just do simple things like online purchases. If you're doing trading, you're doing business and you got to send money to China, all those things are going to be in jeopardy. So, Yog, this thing is very, very serious. I don't think this is a situation that I really don't want any politicians, anybody from GCOM to put Guyana through. Guyana is going to be very unforgiving to them, very unforgiving.
Correct. And Leonard, it's not just in terms of sanctions, as you and I would have said a couple of days ago. Can you imagine, Leonard, we both have children and we all have children, our viewers have, and our children, let's say one of them would probably be heading into a particular age at this stage, and they're going to go to university, and in 2-3 years time, they'll be qualified, or let's just say they finish their master's degree or whatever, and they're going to go seek a job in another country. And the people say, well, you're from Guyana. It's like, we have never really managed to take off that Jim Jones thing off of our history. Wherever you go, people hear Guyana, they remind you of Jim Jones and that tragedy. And now, wherever you go for a long time, people are going to remind you and remind us of this election rigging and in a squatter government that since 2 years ago refused to come out of office. They lost the no confidence motion. They dilly-dallied. The president, Granger, went and he unilaterally selected a chairman of GCOM, even though his own chief justice said that is not proper, it is not constitutional. Here is the man who say, I always abide by the Constitution, but he went and he unilaterally appointed a chairman of GCOM that the CCJ had to tell him that's no good, that's unconstitutional. So he can't say he always abides by the Constitution. That is wrong. So, Leonard, what we are facing now will take a long time for us to live it through and live it off and get it off our backs. The moral decline of the politicians of this country has been amazing. And what Ralph Gonzalez said is so true. People with their jaundiced views and their, just lack of morality. And this is what Freddie said last night too. He said, there was such a thing like moral treason. Granger and them should be tried for it.
And Yog, somebody is bringing to our attention that somebody is abusing the other people, using bad language in our chats. And let me tell you, let me make it very, very clear. We've said that before. This radio station, this Facebook, the YouTube, whatever forum that we're using to be able to transmit our message, our programs out there, it is for all Guyana. We do intend to open it, but it must be conducted in a responsible manner. I'm going to have to ask our people to delete, to block any comments that is not in keeping. We have children here maybe sometimes. We have everybody that's viewing it. They're on YouTube, they're listening, they're paying attention. So anybody that's coming on here and they're going to be using language that is not acceptable, we are going to be deleting, we are going to be blocking you, because that has been handed down by management. It's in keeping with good civility. It's a good mature people who should be having conversation here. If you don't believe you're part of that, you could go elsewhere and join some other forum. This is not for you. You're going to be strict about that.
And also not just the abuse, but the threats. I mean, personal threats have been made to other viewers. It's there in front of us now. So I would dare say yes, we have no tolerance for that. Just probably go to another forum that you're comfortable with.
No, this is for all Guyana. If you believe that you're not in this for all Guyana, well, you're in the wrong forum. Let me just repeat that. So, York, to come back, I think we go back to this COVID-19. The authorities announced this morning that they have put a halt on mining in especially some parts of the Cuyuni-Mazaruni area there, the Aranque area, which is the epicenter of some spikes in Region 7. And so they have put a halt on it, and they are paying attention to what is happening in the border areas, especially Region 1. There has been an application by the regional chairman there, Brent Ashley, I think it is. He has made an application to the authorities to lock down Mabaruma, which is one of the main areas in Region 1. And that is for 2 weeks. So we are going to continue to pay attention to that. There's also a big story in the front page of Kaichur News, which brings the story right to home. Next door in Suriname, Yog, three of the 4 top members of the newly elected coalition government in Suriname, they've tested positive. Fortunately, I think the Chan Santoki, who's tipped to be the next president next month when they have that selection process. He has tested negative, but Ronnie Brunswick, I think Gregory Rossland, and Paul Samoharjo, they've all tested positive. So that's really serious news coming there. That's our neighbor to the east. We should be paying very close attention to what's happening. Although the borders are closed, we know some things have been happening. So be on the alert, and as we on that, Yog, I was receiving messages from Berbice a little while back, I think an hour or two back. People were a little concerned they weren't getting our radio station up there. That's because the internet went, I think, up in that area there, and we depend on the internet for the transmission. I want to say hello to the people up in Berbice. Stay safe, be safe, do what's the correct thing, keep it distancing, social distancing, 6 feet, wear your mask, wash your hands with soap, with water, not by itself, and continue to do everything that the authorities have told you to do with regards to protecting yourself. Seated in a minibus, ensure that the minibus person do not put more than, I think half of the minibus more than half can be filled. That everybody's wearing the mask. If you see somebody not wearing the mask, insist. Behave bad. You need to stand up and say what you have to say. You're part of Guyana. Our people have been silent too long, and we have to push them to do a little more. It cannot be left up to Yog Mahadeo. We have to decide now. It's either we want to be a forest world country, you and I spoke about this before, or we want to remain where we are. Now is a good time to decide that we are going to be a forest world country. We demand that our government produce, deliver, and ensure that they consistently do that at a high level of living for all the people. We have enough resources here. All we need is the will of the leaders to deliver, and they have to be strong. They have to be disciplined in what they do in the coming years. So we're not going to tolerate anything except delivery of services, delivery of promises.
Indeed, Leonard. And it is worrying what you say about Suriname because, they have had, well, they seem to have had it under control, but I think they were also focused, and isn't it the same here? They were so focused on elections that probably they let the ball go. And that is what's happening in Guyana. But unfortunately, we are continue to be forced by this squatter government to continue to have elections ongoing forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're not being allowed to pay heed to our health emergencies. Remember, and last night, Mr. Kisoon spoke about this as well in room 592. You have politicians who are heading the COVID-19 task force, and all they're interested is in the politics. And mind you, I wish to repeat this. These people continue to take salaries from taxpayers while people are at home and cannot even get money for food. So it's amazing how much, disheartening this thing could be and how much uncaring politicians in this country is, Leonard. GRA continues to collect the taxes. And on that note, I must say that I think GRA has published a notice to say that corporation filing an advanced corporation tax
will be pushed back.
Will be allowed to be pushed back without penalties. And that's good. Leonard, on another note, I just wish to say that, I've received information, and let me say hello to a gentleman who we had invited to participate in room 592, but he was not allowed to come. And that's Mr. Harbajan. Mr. Harbajan has said that he is doing a lot of work to keep the number 63 beach and its environs clean. So let me say a hello to him and to the team that's working there to pick up and clean up the garbage. And let me call on the general population. This is a perennial problem. It's been ongoing many, many years ago. I remember Bijali Moti, Dr. Yog Mahadeo. I remember lots of teams put themselves together to help clean the beach, keep the beach clean for many, many, many years. And it's not happening. And it's simply not happening because there are persons in the area that goes and dump garbage and dump plastic and dump rice shells and dump all kinds of things at the beach. And I would want to ensure that we could call upon our brothers and sisters in the quarantine area to stop using the beach as a dump site. Stop taking your personal garbage and placing it in God's world, for heaven's sake.
I think yoga, and there's another situation that's developing. Some people have been calling on the chair of GCOM, Claudette Singh, Justice Retired Claudette Singh, to make a declaration. Is it correct that she has been injuncted from making anything? I think there were some orders that came from CCJ until the matter is heard, that she can't do anything at all?
In my view, yes. And I think we had both Sanjeev Datadin.
Right, and that's what we told.
Right. And Sanjeev would have informed us that, he knows that based on this state of play at the CCJ hearing, GCOM cannot do anything other than the only thing that can be done is that Lowenfield can retract his last report because that was not done in any legal way anyhow. Because remember, there was a stay from the Court of Appeal. And that stay would have now been extended by the CCJ. Mm-hmm. So whatever Lowenfield think he did was outside, above and beyond what could have and ought to have been done within the law.
And that's my understanding too. So there you have it. If you were wondering, whether the chairman for GCOM can go ahead and make a declaration. She can't. She has to await the decision by the Caribbean Court of Justice, which is set to be set for next Wednesday. And so we will be awaiting that. There seems to be, based on what we see in here, very little like room after that for Keith Lowenfield to do any other thing except what he has been instructed to do. He's already, according to some experts, legal experts that is, submitted a declaration, and so what he had to do was go back and just present the number of the allocated seats, who would have gotten what, and so on. And at that point in time is when, to use some of the words of Anandlal, some jiggery pokery. Was that how he said it, Yog?
Yes, and the ludicrosity of what's happening.
Yes, I saw some words, and I guess after this, you and I would have to spend an entire day with all our good people who are tuned in with us to go through some of the words that we learned during this whole elections period.
Right.
And there's some interesting words. I'm going to sit down and write it out, but there are many of that. But today, I want to say also a good day to all the people who have been joining us religiously again, every single day, in the afternoon, in the evening, for Room 592 as well. And Room 592 has really been making some waves, Yog. Sometimes because it's such high language, some days I pay attention very closely, but you're dealing with some lawyers. You might have some background there, but Gildarie ain't no lawyer. But I could follow. But it's really good to hear some of the country's best legal minds sharing their knowledge, giving their opinions on issues. And I think Guyana is so much the better for it, for programs such like this. I'm not sure where I would be after maybe the elections, whether I move on, whether we do something differently, whether we keep Room 592, things to discuss. I think a lot of people say, let's keep it alive. Of course, Elections Watch will have to evolve into something else that allow the people to have a bigger say. I think if we keep it open, the afternoon program, that it would have to evolve, that would allow more of Guyana, more of the overseas people, diaspora, and everybody to come on board and, let us build this country together. Let us hear what is it that you're thinking. Let us hear what some of your community leaders are doing or not doing. Who's taking bribes? Who's using state equipment, state resources to conduct private work? Who's helping somebody they're not supposed to be helping? We would want to have such a program that the people should be better informed to make better decisions, and so that is where we're going to hold. But it is that Room 592 has been something else in terms of informing the people of Guyana.
Yep, and tonight is going to be another one very interesting night, because tonight we're going to have Mr. Selwyn Peters.
Yes.
Joining us in Room 592, Leonard. And if I may just take 60 seconds to explain this to viewers and listeners, Mr. Peters has been on the forefront of a lot of human rights struggles and a lot of legal battles. And trust me, he has had some battles in some environments that is strange. I mean, it's not something that people readily embrace, but he has been fearless. And also, he was an observer for the Bar Association of Guyana during these elections. So he certainly will be having an opinion and will be expressing his thoughts and opinions as to, how these elections have gone on.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. And so, Yog, I think we have said enough. We're going to read a couple of texts, then go straight to the phone lines. 2267453. We're going to open the phone lines in a few moments. So let us read some texts from our good people. Yesterday, we were able to do some things. We are going to try to do it again next week. Yog Mahadeo, myself, Kaicho Radio, Kaicho News, trying to do our little part in our own quiet way. We prefer not to talk with it, but use this forum to filter. So it's 6222222. You could send your messages there. Don't call it. Send a message to WhatsApp, or you could text it to the normal text, which you have some charges. 6222222, or you could call us on the line 2267453. So let me read some text very quickly. Happy Friday, Yog and Gildarie. I enjoyed last night program. Guyanese need to look upon the future and see what is in store. If they don't call a spade a spade. If Lowenfield thinks he's doing the right thing, why is he hiding? Another thing. I think all their own words are coming back to bite them, like what we've seen so far. I just hope and pray that this all ends soon. I continue praying for my fellow Guyanese all this time. Yoga lady called me this morning. I didn't know where she got the number from. She called me and she told me she's praying for me and Yog Mahadeo and Kaicho News and Kaicho Radio and for the rest of Guyana. So thank you, lady. We do appreciate the thoughts and so many thoughts of so many others. Been receiving a lot of texts and messages. We do appreciate it. It means a lot. It's not easy to keep going like this. But guess what? Our country is at stake and we will be doing our job. I think room 592 should be kept and you can discuss whatever's trending, the issues on their own, and so we can have our discussions. So people are asking you to stay on, sir.
Well, Leonard, if I may, remember when we say, when we started with the concept of Room 592, it was not to have 155 days of elections. It was to have topical issues. It was to, for example, look at whatever government of Guyana is there, a matter of good governance. It was to assess oil, to assess coal, to assess economy, to assess environment and everything. But, these elections have taken over everything.
Mm-hmm. All right, there's a number that's coming through here, 662-3794, 662-3794. The gentleman that just sent it, I think our Guyana should be calling you right now. I think they would want to have a chat with you, and it's taken on very racial. We don't have anything to hide here. If you want to bring it on and you want to put your face and don't be, how you say it, a coward, is that a good word, Yog? Don't come hiding here. You want to come to the radio or come to Kaicho News, we'd be more than willing to accommodate you. And so thank you very much for the encouragement and showing us what an idiot you are. I think I'm reading what you're saying there. Or what I would like to say to you. So have a good day, sir, and the good people of Guyana take note of what you're saying. Good afternoon, guys. How can anyone expect a citizen of Guyana to act manually and in the confines of the law when the ones who are the head of the country doesn't? I'm not saying anyone should go and break the law and do whatever they want, but if the leaders are doing what they want, what is stopping the citizen? Secondly, we've seen more and more the day why Leslie James and Maxine Graham were left on the job and a new GDF head was appointed. I reckon dark days ahead for this nation. Just be vigilant. I do hope and pray I'm wrong, though. And I hope that you got a chance to catch the Ramjatan's interview with Fazir Mohammed. Yes, we did. I think it's part of the front page. Lowenfield should be jailed for life at Mingo. No, I'm not sure whether they should do that without the due process. Please explain the roles of the chairperson of GCOM, Yog. Could you do that? Are you prepared to do that, Yog?
The role of?
The GCOM chair.
Well, we had discussions on that, didn't we? We discussed that, the GCOM chair, I mean, in a nutshell, one could say that she has to basically receive the advice I think that the person there is asking with regards to the declaration, right? So she would have to receive the advice of the CEO and advise the chancellor thereafter, make a declaration as to who the winner of these elections are. She chairs a meeting and she has the casting vote because, as you know, in Guyana, 3 of the commissioners are appointed from APNU AFC and 3 of the commissioners were appointed by PPPC. And so obviously there is always going to be a split. So the chairman has an unenviable task of always having to make the decision for the country. I mean, I would not want to wish her position upon anybody, Leonard. That is an extremely difficult position the chairman is in. So in a nutshell, that's what she has. I just want to come back to something though, because I've noticed that, I think Mr. Agard continues to push this narrative that nobody can tell the CEO what to do. And Mr. Agard, please go and look at what Mr. Lowenfield himself said on 11th of February. The videos are out there. Check one of the news media has released it, actually, one of the news media. And you can check it for yourself. Lowenfield knows as Sanjeev Dattadin has put it, he knows what is right and what is wrong. He has chosen to do what is wrong. I cannot pass judgment on him. I'm giving my opinion. The courts will obviously have to pass that judgment upon him, Leonard.
Yes. What is clear, Yog, is that Glenn Hanneman has indicated that other persons would have given notice that they want to file other charges against him too. It could be similar charges. It could be other charges related to election activities. So I guess we're going to hear about that very shortly. What would be interesting now is to hear whether the police summons were served on him, whether he's remained unavailable. But hello, Mr. Gildarie and Yog, I'm enjoying your program. Waiting to hear whether Irfan Ali is being sworn in. I want to know if this only special person can receive the vouchers in connection with the COVID pandemic. We have not been able to get hold of those people as yet. We're hoping to have somebody talk. One person said that they call in, they applied, and they have not heard any word back from those people. What is very clear is that the Ministry of Social Protection with the CDC, Civil Defense Commission and others has indicated in a press statement that 1,700 persons, or I presume that it should be read families, would have been selected to receive vouchers. This is public assistance vouchers because they were hard hit by the COVID. We don't know the amount on those vouchers. What we do know is that they're allowing them to go to selected supermarkets. So they haven't indicated as yet how those supermarkets were selected and what are some of these things, what's it that they're given to the people. Not that we have an issue of it being given, but all this in the issue, it has to be covered in a very transparent manner and, of course, accountable. The money has to come from somewhere. And so you don't want set of people to get it and the other set don't get it. So Yog, that is with regards to that. Let us go straight to the calls right now. Good afternoon, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, good evening, sir.
Good
Mr.
afternoon.
Gildarie and Mr. Mahadeo.
Yes, sir.
I just like to say my appreciation for you guys. I really enjoy the 592 program in the night. I don't know, it's just like I looking at the evening news and just watching the time, see when it's 7:30 to get on to my phone to hear this wonderful conversation. I really I extend my appreciation to Kaichur News. I've been doing a wonderful job in informing the Guyanese people. I think you guys really need a special award after this. This whatever is going on with the election. My contribution is that I have not been hearing anything from the Ministry of Education in regards to what is happening to our school children. In regards to that, we have finished almost the entire school term for the 3 term. We completed the Easter term, and now we are about to school automatically be closed. Well, we know school is closed since the pandemic. Mm-hmm. But we haven't heard anything from the Ministry of Education in regards to what will happen to our children. What is the next step? September is just a month away. What will be the next step? Children are going to go over to grade 5. Some are going to go to grade 6, preparing for the national grade 6 examination. What steps is the Ministry of Education informing parents are also worried about their children? And the ministry is not coming out and doing anything in regards to going to prepare anything for these children at home, give to the parents, send anything. Parents are worried, despite what is happening with the election. Parents are worried. What is the next step for our kids who are at home? Mm-hmm. What is really the Ministry of Education is doing? That is my whole concern, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear caller, and some very good words of encouragement there. But with regard to the school, that is something that we've been asking for too. The ministry has a preference at this point in time based on we would have even spoken to the Permanent Secretary, Alfred King, of the Ministry of Education, as well as the public relations officers, for somebody with responsibility to come on the program here to shed some light, maybe even take some calls with regards to not only the grade 6, which would have ended yesterday, which they reported there was a high turnout, but also with CAPE and CSEC exams. We know within a couple of weeks they're supposed to be writing those exams. How are the lessons going? Is the lessons, are the students receiving any kind of help from the Ministry of Education? We have not received any positive news with regards to that. The invitation remains open. I shall reach out once again to the PS as well as to the public relations officers, because I think it would be in their interest also to share with the people of Guyana what is it that they're doing, instead of us waiting until 8, 9 o'clock in the night for the good Minister of Education, Nicolette Henry. A good day to you, ma'am, if you're listening to us. People have been asking. We, Kaicher News, have been receiving those press releases at 8, 9 o'clock in the night. We can't give it the attention that we'd want to give it. It is very important, and the people of Guyana need to know. Can't say it any better than that. Yog?
Correct, Leonard. There are a lot of things falling apart, and this is the amazing thing with these elections. Everything is falling apart in this country. Only a handful of persons continue to earn money, fancy salaries, millions of dollars in salaries and benefits, and they are the people who are squatting in office, and they have nothing to tell you. They call themselves ministers, they call themselves government, but they have nothing to tell you about COVID. They have nothing to tell you about education. They have nothing to tell you about our children and the future of this country. Nothing to tell you. And whenever they speak, even look at Jordan. The sheer incompetence and the lies that are being peddled by various persons about Guyana's economy and Guyana's examinations for our children and all of that, it's mind-boggling, Leonard, and it's worrying, because how are we now? Can you imagine this set of persons, the same set of persons, running government for another 5 years? Can you imagine the same set of incompetence running this country for another 5 years? What would be the state of this country? We're already $92 billion in deficit at the central bank. What would be in another 5 years if we allow them to continue? What's the state of examinations? Nobody can say as yet, Leonard. No central directive is coming out. And when they do come out, they cannot even put their names properly. I mean, by God, sometimes you look at the things that are coming out and people just want to have their title but not do the work. And it's a problem Guyana has had for a long time. People want to call themselves ministers and they want to say they have power and they want to give themselves titles, but they can't do the work. And those who can do the work, because you're not a loyalist and you cannot sing to follow the leader at every turn, you cannot be appointed. And so Guyana has its problems, Leonard. But yeah, we have a problem now with the next school term. What guidance is there for the next school term? This one is already gone. What guidance is there? It's now exam time. Our children are writing exams. Children have written exams. But what about placement? What about all of these things that has to happen? And Leonard, you and I know this coronavirus thing that we have here in Guyana presently, it's not going away quickly.
No,
because you have a government that is not doing anything about it. The people are behaving in a very cavalier fashion. And while I blame our people for not being more responsible, the people are behaving just like the leaders. The leaders don't care squat about what happens to this country. They just are so busy occupying office that they don't care about the health of this nation. So the people are behaving in like manner. We're going nowhere. We're going downhill. And it's going to take a mighty great effort by everyone to pull us out of this. The other thing that you have to realize, Leonard, if this set of people were to continue in office, given the rabble-rousers that we have seen operating from foreign shores, I can tell you, it's JJ and B that will probably run this government for the next 5 years. It's probably this gentleman or two, I don't want to even call their names, but we know them, that have been setting all kinds of poisonous things in play over social media. They're the ones that will be running information policy and political directives for the PNC going forward. And that's a dangerous place. We don't want to be there. But the other reality too, Leonard, is that the APNU, AFC, PNC grouping have doled out so much false narratives to people that when these election results are announced, there will be people who will continue to drink that beverage.
To stop it
that are
too
going
late,
to
though?
Well, remember one of the persons advised us online that if we say Kool-Aid, we're being racist. So I just want to be respectful to everybody. So whatever beverage they're drinking, they're going to continue to drink it. And it means after these elections, you're going to have a handful of people that will continue to raise all kinds of false narratives and storms. And they're not going to allow this country to settle. I certainly wish and hope and look forward to letting the people of Guyana take legal action. There is a man who went on air and said he stood up and he saw a lady voting twice. And that has been proven to be a lie. Let us take him to court for public mischief. Until we do this, Leonard, we're going to continue to have senior people, political figures, play political football and create public mischief in the heart, mind, and souls of ordinary Guyanese people. And that's what's been happening for these past 122 days. Lowenfield know why he said 156 men. This thing is terrible.
Yes, you probably had a good reason why he's saying that. Good afternoon to you both. I think room 592 should be kept and you can discuss whatever trending issues so we can have discussions. Having programs like room 592 will ensure that the new government will do what's right by the people because they will be under watchful eye. Next one. I noticed that the APNU is using NCN TV to spread the propaganda they even pronounce on the CCJ ruling. I wonder if they're paying for the airtime. Good question. We'd have to look into that. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I used to think that President Granger was an honorable man. I was very disappointed with his behavior or lack thereof during this election period. I thought that he would do the honorable thing and redeem himself with the results of the national recount. With the interview President Granger did recently, it shows that he's nothing but a stranger to the truth and is only going down the narrow and dark road. Have a good afternoon. So, Dr. Yog Gildarie, if you're in Lowenfield position, what would you prefer? Sanction? Yog or Gildarie? If you were in Lowenfield position, which would you prefer? Sanction or prison? The answer to this question can tell the direction Guyana can go. Yog, what would you prefer? Sanctions or prison?
I would not have done something to put me in prison. Tell the truth. And Leonard, I am sure if Mr. Lowenfield do what is right and what needs to be done and put things behind us, nobody is going to want to take such actions against him. We're going to want, as a people, one of the things we have done continuously is to put things behind us. Look, 28 years of Burnham's rule. Anybody went to jail? 23 years of PPP rule. With all the damaging things that APNU AFC have said and accused, and that Kaicher News has printed, and I would have printed on social media about the PPP and the rule. Anybody in jail? So Lowenfield needs to do what he needs to do, and he might finally receive some love. But if he continues to be hard-headed and he continues to tell one lie after another and just not do what he has to do, fulfill your mandate, then people are going to take action. What else can we do? It's like, sometimes I feel like this set of people in government are younger than my 5-year-old boy, young children that you gotta scold them and remind them, do the right thing, do the right thing, do the right thing. If you don't, then there are repercussions. Mm-hmm. That's what we have here, Leonard. Big men, big women. Some of them from the army, some legal minds. Basil Williams years ago used to say Guyana was a pariah state. What are we now? We are worse than a pariah state under his watch. And that's the sad state of affairs. People have become shameless. Their morality has been I cannot even say they have has become skewed. I will say that the morality has gone. They have divorced any morality that they had.
And that is something that they have to look at. Where do you live after the dust would have settled? How do you face your neighbors? How do you face your families? What do you say to your kids? How do you go to church? How do you go to a social function? You still have to be in parliament, and you're so right. When you would get up, you're sitting on the other side of the bench. And this goes for both the coalition and the opposition. When you're sitting there and you have no credibility, how is it going to work? And of course, are you going to do your civic duty or your mandatory duty sitting in the parliament, and what the people would have elected you to do, what they expect you to do? Are you going to do that? And so these are questions that have to be put to our politicians at this time. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I understand that the answer sheets for the grade 6 exams has both the number of the candidate and the name of the candidate. This, I understand, is not a normal practice. My question is, why is this being done when only the number is required? I'm not aware of this. This is something that is new now. We're going to raise it with the Education Ministry and see whether there's an answer. As far as I know, it's just a number. You're not supposed to identify the candidate. So the persons who are marking would have no idea. They would see a number, and I think that is how I would understand it from all the times that exams are being written. There's a number for the candidate, and there's not any name or anything. So, Yog, you aware of anything? Have you received any complaints about this?
No, I haven't. We'll have to find out. I find that weird, odd, that it would require a name as well.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Was wondering if the found low in field so he can be sorted. We have no idea about this. The police has been instructed by the court to find Lowenfield and deliver the summons to him. We are waiting to find if there's any development with that. So far, nada. My late husband was Pandit Sugrim, died 12 years ago. I have two sons, Dr. Vade and my son Rabi. I also pray every morning at 4 for you, especially our country. Listen to you every day. From Lakshmi Sugrim. Good afternoon to you all. And Dr. Yogan Leonard, it takes a special human being to do what you're doing and sleepless night. Thank you very much, ma'am. We don't ask for anything. I think I left stock on this because I wanted to, this is how I put it badly there. I started this on elections day because we need to tell the people of Guyana what was happening with the elections. Every day people said they want to hear a little more, and so eventually it evolved into elections and COVID-19 watch, and of course Room 592, which has been very, very revealing. I myself have started really enjoying Room 592 in the beginning, listening to Yog with his, it was really deep language, deep topics that we were discussing. So, but we do thank you people for that. It is something that I believe our people should be pushing themselves to open them out a little more. If there's nothing that elections 2020 and COVID-19 has taught us for year 2020, let it be that as Guyanese people, we have the power not only on elections day, but we do happen to have means. We can make our voices heard via social media, by picking up the phone, by writing to the newspaper. We could do many things. We have a lot of power here, and we put people in office. We can remove them on voting day, but we could also make their life miserable if they don't perform. And that is by opening our mouths. So you have that kind of possibility. Don't believe that the office that they have there, they're kings and queens, and they're above the law. They have to do what you say because they're representing you in the big office, whether it's the National Assembly or Ship China Paul Drive, where the Ministry of the Presidency is. Yog?
Yes, Leonard. Thank you for that. Leonard, we have to put country first. And this set of politicians has shown that they're incapable of putting country before personal property and country before personal politics. I think there's hardly anybody there that we can point to that stands for integrity and honesty anymore. I mean, you see them forgetting the last lie that they said in a previous news meeting and say something new and lie about their own last lie. I mean, it's getting to be comical sometimes. When you look, you cannot help but laughing. And what I find very strange, Leonard, is people who want to represent this country in our National Assembly. I see a gentleman who has been a former member of parliament, and I think he is still on the slate. He is sharing something to say, time to demit CARICOM, time to demit CCJ.
You want to name that person? Name the person. Who's the person who is saying that?
MP Figuera is saying time to demit CCJ, and they're sharing something to say CCJ is acronym for Classic Caribbean Jokers and stuff like that. Leonard, I just want to say this: if Mr. Figueroa and his team hates what the CCJ is doing, right? If half of this country hates what the CCJ is doing, should half of the country hate what the Court of Appeal is doing and say, let the Court of Appeal go to hell? You remember that 32 versus 33 versus 34 argument?
I didn't go far in school, I don't know why you're asking me that.
No, but sometimes it boggles the mind that people who want to represent us in our National Assembly could share such nonsense and want to bring our courts into disrepute just because you don't like what decision is being made at the courts. The judiciary is independent. They had a problem with the courts. Every time a court rule against them, they're sharing all kinds of nonsense. There are some people who are saying time for Guy exit from CARICOM. It's Guyanese that has benefited the most from CARICOM. During Burnham days, Guyanese ran helter-skelter all across the Caribbean, man. All across the Caribbean. People are there. We used to go and buy things and bring it in suitcases to make things work. Guyanese overseas in the US and Canada sending barrels. How come Western Union and MoneyGram and so forth are in Guyana? Why? Because people sending money home to people here who these politicians keep messing up every day. And they're shameless to say abandon CARICOM and abandon CCJ. This is nonsense, Leonard. And for an MP to share such ridiculousness speaks to his own level of intelligence as well. Because, again, I repeat the question. If he don't like what the CCJ is saying, why should half of this country like what the Court of Appeal is saying? So they don't think, they don't put their gear in their brain in motion before they engage their mouths. And that has to be what's happening here. It's irritating to see big men and big women embarrass this country in such a way. And still they want to go represent you and me in the National Assembly. Man, look, I would want to ensure that every time they go to the National Assembly to represent me, I'm going to put up a placard and remind them of these days of hell that they're putting Guyana through just because they want power at any cost. They're selfish.
But let me don't stop there. Let us give up our visa for the US. Let us give up our visa for Canada. Let us give up our visa for the UK. Let us stop going to Trinidad. Let us give up our membership to the Commonwealth, to the OAS. Let us stop going to Suriname. Let us stop going to Barbados. Let us stay in Guyana. Let us stop selling our oil. Let us stop selling our sugar, our rice. I think we could be self-sufficient here. Let us stop bringing our cars because we can't send money abroad. So many things we can do, right? Let us don't stop there.
Leonard, the politicians, not all of them, most of them, where are their children studying? Alongside your children and mine in a Guyanese school? People got to hear when half of them, not all of them, again, I'm not going to criticize all of them. When the parliamentarians, some of them, when some of the members of the National Assembly sick and they got to fix a headache, they take a flight and go overseas and get it done. But when we want to settle a national issue here, they hate us for speaking out. Leonard, it's irritating to see some of these people go to the population and say, vote for me, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. And their hypocrisy knows no bounds, knows no ends. You're right. Why doesn't he and them give up their dual citizenship and all the family they got all over the countries in various parts of the world, bring them back home? Why they don't say, okay, CARICOM, stop this CSME, stop all the common tariffs, stop everything, build a huge wall around Guyana. Ask President Trump to help build his wall around Guyana, and you know what? Everything you produce, eat it. Don't import anything. These are the people that get all the fancy SUVs that they're importing from other countries and tooting their horns at the people who got to walk barefoot on the streets. That's the kind of leaders we have in this country. Their twisted egos and lack of morality is being showcased every day.
Yes, Yoga, and I thank you for that. So we go down, let's go to some other texts that we would have been receiving here. Well, I did read the one, let me see. Okay, in the meantime, could we take some calls there, Raj? Good afternoon, caller, you're on the air.
Hello?
Yes, sir, go ahead, you're on the air.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Gildarie, Mr. Yog.
Yes, sir.
This is, it might sound racial, but it's not racial, it's the facts. The COVID-19 is on the increase, and you have Orange Walk, Street Point Bar on Orange Walk Street that is fully open and selling alcohol beverages. People are drinking there. Bobby's Car Park by Bates and Dean, they have people selling alcohol beverages, and about 150 afternoon people out there drinking and sporting loud music. I called Impact Base, I called Breakdown Police Station, I called Operation Room, and nobody does nothing. It continues every day. That's why the police cannot find Mr. Low increase to give him the summons, because that's why Mr. Granger do not want to send the commissioner and deputy on leave, because he have them there so that their people could do what they want.
Mm-hmm.
COVID is on the increase, and these people, you're calling them and telling them what's going on, and you pass through Orange Walk now, Street Point fully open, people drinking there. Bobby's Car Park in front of Beijing, people selling alcohol, cars park up anyhow, playing loud music, sporting, and nobody does nothing.
I do thank you for that. We are going to raise this issue.
I don't know if y'all could see to get onto the coast of police and have a feedback on what really is going on. And for the time the Indian people, City Bar can't open, Seaport can't open, they're harassing them. What's going on?
Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you.
Yog, let me tell you what transpired this morning, and I had to laugh because I think I'm going to venture out my normal reserve kind of behavior into something. So I had to babysit the little girl this morning, finished writing her exam, so I had to babysit her this morning, bringing her down to work so that her mom could pick her back a little later. At her stealing, a minibus man cut in front of me and almost hit the entire front of the car, the bumper and everything, so I barely matched brakes. You got to see how this guy undertake and then overtake. So he pulled in the corner, stopped at the middle of a corner, blocked off that street, and then stopped almost in the middle of the road. So I pulled alongside and I sent down the passenger window, and he saw the little girl and he realized what he did. He apologized. But I looked into the minibus and the minibus was filled. So I said, you can't do that. You got to take care. I understand you earning a living, but you got to take care of other people who are driving on the road. I understand you make mistakes and so. So I drive. I think we're licensed, the formal license, National Hardware is there now. The police had a control going on there. Two minibus was headed past, and when they saw the roadblock there, or the control point, they made a U-turn and driving back up the one way to get away because the minibuses were filled. I looked at that. I think my dash cam caught it. But what this gentleman is saying here is very, very clear to me. Number one, the police, you can't see the police in the night when all the vehicles are leaving maybe past the curfew. Nobody's stopping you, you know. You're there maybe 11 o'clock in the night, sometimes 9 o'clock. No police on the road, but police in the day to check whether you have your vehicle, all your documents and everything. Now, that is laughable. What this guy is saying, And what would have happened in front of the Evelary police station on Sunday there? This is the headquarters of the police, the seat of the police top brass. And on the seawall, maybe a stone throw away, people were lining the seawall, music were blaring, barbecue grills on. Nobody in doing nothing, but you close down the people down there. You hear what the man said? They close down the business and they tell them don't open. But
Right.
you part of the curfew thing, you're not doing anything. The police not there. Now, on the flip side of that, I understand the police has been more than almost 4 months now on call, on duty, some of them sleeping in the stations, barely making out. I understand you guys are doing a tremendous job. And I want to say kudos, I know a couple of them. Kudos to you guys, Rhymefeld Police Station, and of course Golden Grove Way, I know them guys. But also to the nurses and so on. But Yog, this is ridiculous. Nobody's saying anything but COVID-19. Nobody is monitoring. The only time that you see from anything from the authorities is a press release coming very late in the evening. This morning we had one. I was a little surprised, but the closure of certain mining areas because of COVID-19. But normally, like the Ministry of Education, send their own till 8, 9 o'clock in the night. When you're about to start coming down, keeping a little space for maybe a late crime that happens or something. But it's send it then because that is when the minister had time to do it, or the PR people got time to do it, to talk to the people of Guyana. This is the crass mentality. This is the respect that our authorities have for the people of Guyana. I can't call it any other way. Can't say it anything better than that. My kid is being affected. Thousands of kids are being affected. We got to stop this nonsense. We got to start improving the way that we deal with our office and the respect for the people. You got to get it right. Got to get it right. Minister of Education, you got to get it right.
Correct. And Leonard, the police, as you and I discussed the other day, I mean, the police crime seems to be on the rise. Not seems to be, we know. We are seeing a lot of things on social media and hearing concerns about a lot of crime is on the rise. And at the same time, we are seeing all of these things happening, and the police seems to be closing down some shops and some things, but not being even-handed in applying the same kind of stringent measures upon all. The truth is, whatever measures have to be applied has to be applied across the board. I mean, we are seeing it with the minibus operators. Some of them getting away with whatever. They heavily, and you're seeing it with vehicles as well. Some people are stopped and you have to strip your tint and you have to do this and do that. And some are driving past and nobody's saying anything. So the police needs to know that they have to continue to earn respect. They cannot demand it and think because you're police, people have to respect you. We are seeing what's happening in the US, right? The police has to realize they have to earn the respect of the people.
Absolutely, dear. And so, Yog, somebody sent us a text here, Justin. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Just for the information, the two person who was charged with protesting in front of the Foreign Affairs, this is Neil Kumar, and another person. This matter was withdrawn today. So you charge the people them, and then you carry them to court, then you withdraw the matter. Why would you do that? Why do we waste the court time, especially with COVID-19? Charge them. You tell them move out from here if you don't want them to gather in any crowd. You charge them, then you go to court, withdraw the case. How do we do that? There's a caller online. Yes. Go ahead, Yog. Caller, good afternoon.
No,
You're here.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hope everything is okay, given all that is happening in our country. I would like to make a comment on the fact that the post office has started distributing to the people that I told you about this, what do you call it, voucher. I haven't seen it as yet. I heard about it. So at least something is happening in that area. What they have to do and what they want to do, I don't know it yet. So I guess somebody's listening. One of the things that people seem to be missing, and I'm not talking to no politician, I'm talking from the PS down in every ministry. This country and the world has to learn to go forward, not after COVID, during COVID, because COVID seems to be going anywhere. So what people are wanting to hear, what the Guyanese people are wanting to hear, this is how we're going to operate in schools when September comes, November comes. This is how we're going to operate in the hospitals. This is how we're going to operate here. Nobody is saying that. That's the problem. Because we're not, if you're dreaming that COVID is finished, it's a wishful thinking. I think it was the PS of Ministry of Health She projected 2 years, and even then I said this lady going far, but she is absolutely right.
No, this lady is right on the ball with these things. We got to get her on back. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right, sir.
She said so. When I started listening to this program with you guys as a pastime, and yes, I heard you yesterday, I am employed as a security guard. I am not a security. I am more than that. But telling you this, I never expected it 4 months after I would have been here listening to this same thing. And on that note, I make a suggestion. The election watch and COVID watch could turn to Parliament and executive watch. Just as a thought. So the point I'm making is this. We are not hearing anything about how we go forward. It is nice and all good to say how everything is wrong and how we need to look after our health. But 4 months down the road, forget politics. Yep. People haven't been working for so long. So this is how we can do it. When it comes to the education, the one that I know that's listening, because some people are listening, the point is this. You can take grade 1 and grade 3 in the primary school and grade 7 to 9 in the secondary school, and you start 12 to 1, send them home, take an hour break, bring the other set from 2 to 5. That's just a suggestion, and there's so many things they can do. Within that hour break before the next class comes, the cleaners go in and clean that whole place. You pick selective canteen people. You have to start talking about how we survive within COVID-19. We don't talk about waiting for when it's finished, because we might not be here when it's finished, because people are not working. People have bills, and Mr. Yog said something yesterday. All these places, they didn't wipe out your debt. They push it back. Mm-hmm. How far can they push it back? And when will you be able to catch up? Because people fail to realize something. A man may be working for 100,000. You leave him home for 4 months. It's not just his bills there. He has to spend from his savings, spend from a plan that he had for the next 6 years, probably spend from his children's college funds. So when do they pick up back if we keep waiting? And the problem is the PSs of all of these ministries seem to be political, because if the politicians are not saying anything, they can have plans, make plans of whoever comes into power. Whether these people stay in, which I believe they're going to fight to stay in, or the next one come in, they have a plan. And they said, this is what we plan to do, this is what we plan to implement. But none of that is happening. And I told you guys about a couple of months ago, Charlotte and Camp Street, this lockdown thing, people are there drinking every night till 9, 10 o'clock. I surprised when I went home, I said, hey, police coming, police can close it up here. Police stop and buy something. I don't know, I can't say they buy, but they stop and I see they collect, I assume they buy. I don't want to say they're taking a pay. So I said, well, look, a story. If the police is shopping at this place that is supposed to be locked, what can anybody do? Thank you very much. That was a great comment.
Thank you very much. So it's a jokey country. You know, there's another flip side. That gentleman then just raised something to me, Yog. What gives you the right, Yog Mahadeo, as a politician, to hold my life up for 1.5 years? How could you do that? To suspend my life for 1.5 years, and I can't have a very fair or a country that should be on the road to a good life?
Correct.
Who gives us the right to do that?
I agree, and the gentleman said it right, and you and I have been calling. I mean, life has to go on, but there is no plan. He's right. Not only has the politicians now keep on agitating about wanting to continue to rule, but they have literally taken everybody's hopes and dreams, their plans for their children's future, their plans for their parents, and plans for their job and their promotions. It's all now scrapped. Basically, after this, everybody's starting back from the bottom line. A lot of people who have had $1 or $2 as savings, it's all gone. It's evaporated. And, you are starting from scratch. Look, Leonard, if you had hoped to get promotions this year in your job, and there is no job this year, there is nothing that you have worked towards, obviously your life is now pushed back for another year or until whenever it's ready. But the critical thing that he said that is very, very real is that nobody is coming out from those who call themselves the government to talk strategy. Mm-hmm. Here is how we can look at this thing a year from now, regardless of who is in government. And you and I have reached out to a number of permanent secretaries to come on this show and to discuss all the areas that they can But what do you think has been happening? The permanent secretaries are not unwilling to come, but what's been happening in Guyana, ladies and gentlemen, is that the ministers always want to be the star boy and star girl, as we just say in Creoles. And so nobody can speak other than the ministers. And so now you have a situation where the permanent secretaries have not gotten used to come out and speak and talk on policy, especially, and talk on the business of the ministry. So now, when the ministers are driving their fancy vehicles and earning taxpayers' money but cannot come out and speak, so too the permanent secretaries cannot come out and speak. And it's a problem because it means, unfortunately, Leonard, if the permanent secretaries cannot shake themselves out of this political conundrum, cannot shake themselves out of political mastery, then they are going to fall into the wayside, and they will be falling at the altar of political promotions and political appointments. Because think of this, the next government that comes in, if it sees a PS of a particular ministry not coming out, not saying anything under a COVID-19, are you going to appoint them to continue? And the moment you replace them, it will be deemed to be witch hunt. It will be deemed to be political scaremongering and all kinds of things. So
right.
it's like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. We are in a terrible jam.
But
and the longer this election thing go on, the worse we're going to be.
But you know what is so thing? We have continued to breach all the law, break all the laws when it comes to going according to the regulations or following the letter to the T, because we want to breach it. You and I spoke about this before. The chief elections officer, the chief executive officer, or the PS as that person is known, is the one who runs the ministry day to day. The minister is the one who does policy. Okay, so if you're in the Ministry of Health, we need 2 more hospitals. We need to pass a law which gives more protection to people with diabetes or people who have smoked. We need to pass a law which gives them some kind of halfway house where they could probably go and stop smoking, something like that. That's what the minister does. Mm-hmm. The signing of checks or give Gildarie a contract or give somebody a contract, a contract, that is not the minister's job. The minister can't get himself involved with that. The most powerful person in the ministry when it comes to day-to-day running, it is the PS who's carrying out the policies of the minister. Full stop to that. So this is absolute nonsense. So if you call in, you shouldn't even be calling the minister to have a comment, maybe, unless you want to talk. How do you plan to fix this issue? But if you're talking about a hospital run out of drugs, don't call the minister, call the PS. The PS is supposed to know about that. You're the one that's in charge of that. If something is happening with COVID-19 or something, do we need more doctors? You call the PS. Or call the the public relations officer, not the minister. And you're talking about that there. Yes, go ahead.
Just as an aside, Leonard, I think we inadvertently blocked Jillian
Yes,
Lewis.
she did complain. Our apologies, Jillian.
And
We're doing
our
some calling.
apologies. Yeah.
We're doing some calling right now, getting rid of some very noxious some poisonous characters. And like I said before, we will be blocking if you come here and you preach hate, you preach race, or you use bad language. We're going to block you, although you might be our friends. Jillian has been with us from day one.
So Jillian, Kevin and Raj owes you for that, Jillian.
Yeah, they're the ones, yes.
Raj.
Raj is a culprit in this one here. I don't think Joshua should be thinking. But as we, on elections 2020, Yog, there's a major development that is happening right now. You know, today there's supposed to be the handing over for a new CARICOM chair. Our Foreign Affairs Minister, Dr. Karen Cummins, made a speech. And you should hear the speech, if I can. And we have to put this in context that Mia Motley, the outgoing chair of CARICOM, who's also the Prime Minister of Barbados and one of our colleagues, our bilateral partner and our partner in the region, she's outgoing, and she would have come under a lot of fire. People talking about she should not have put her mouth in, a lot of criticisms, and you should hear the statement here from Dr. Karen Cummins, very glowing. I wish to place on records on behalf of His Excellency David Granger, I sent it to you, Yog, President of Guyana, sincere appreciation to the Honorable Mia Amor Motley, Prime Minister of Barbados, for her earnest and energetic efforts to enhance regional integration during her tenure as chairman of the Conference of the Heads of Government of the Caribbean Community, CARICOM. Your exemplary leadership over the past 6 months, especially with regard to the CARICOM Single Maritime Economy, CSME, the vulnerability of the Small Islands Developing States, SIDS, and the region's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, among others, has reignited enthusiasm for the expeditious implementation of deeper and stronger economic integration measures. We're confident that you will continue to raise your voice and as an advocate of the community's economic development, even as you now pass the baton to a new chairman. We join other delegations in welcoming the new chairman of the conference, Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We assure him, I repeat that, we assure him of the support of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana during his tenure of office. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and this is coming from our Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Karen Cummins, statement coming out here. We've seen it with our eyes. Guyana is saying that Mia Motley did a good job, fantastic job, and they're saying that we intend to support the incoming Ralph Gonsalves, the same Ralph Gonsalves, which Yog is going to tell you about in a little while. What he was subject to a couple weeks back, a week or so back, by the same government that we have here. Sounds familiar, Yog?
Yeah. You know, it's amazing. I mean, remember the discussion we had with Sir James Mitchell, former Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Remember the discussion we had with Sir Ronald Saunders on what Karen Cummings would have done. And certainly tonight, I think we can look forward to an interesting discussion with Mr. Selwyn Peters, because he was in that room. He was in that room that Karen Cummings went and threatened the international observers. So it sets up a good conversation here, Leonard, and I find that kind of a tongue-in-cheek kind of comment coming from her. But you know what? Good for her. Good for her for stating this. And it only shows that, you know, when we do engage our brains, instead of political emotions, we can actually say and do the right thing. And on the other side, Leonard, on the flip side, the Department of Political Information's head, has issued a condemnation of the Caribbean Court of Justice too.
Who's that? Who's that?
So,
Who's
Mr. Khan.
He's around? We don't hear anything from him.
Well, I don't know. Well, you know, morality, the grounds of morality is not there. So, the head of the Department of Political Information seems to have published a commentary that is called Principle or Perish, and is an attack on CCJ. And here how they have started it. Here is the, oh gosh, I mean, I would want to ask Nandalal or Datadin what word they could tell us to respond to this statement, because here is how they have started their commentary. The CCJ is currently deliberating the most important non-case it has ever had to hear. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the CCJ is only deliberating on the FUSPA, on the same non-case where the Court of Appeal sought to separate the Parliament, add words into the Constitution, and sought to separate the National Assembly from the President. You know, and says that one will be taken to the High Court and another will be taken to the Court of Appeal. And if you are going to apply the basis of all of this, Leonard, is that people are saying that this thing is outside of the CCJ's jurisdiction. We have had Sanjeev Datadin explain at length why they feel it is within, and who knows, CCJ may rule that it doesn't have. Mm-hmm. But I think the matter of concern here is one that one of the judges rightly asked. Had the Court of Appeal said invalid votes instead of valid vote, would you still have been here? Would you still be taking the same position you're taking presently? So it's another couple of days. We'll wait to see what the CCJ has. But I'm finding it increasingly morbidly worrying that political people who are paid by taxpayers The Department of Political Information are employed public servants paid by taxpayers to use the Guyana RAG, to use the NCN, to use all of these media houses paid by taxpayers to spout absolute verbiage that does not represent any semblance of logic or reasoning at all.
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Yog Mahadeo. You're now joining us, COVID-19 Elections Watch. We are coming to you here on 99.1, 99.5 FM from 24 Saffron Street, Charleston. We're also coming to you on Kaicho Radio, Facebook, YouTube. On YouTube, we there, same thing that you're seeing here. If you join us on Facebook, seeing it on YouTube, Kaicho Radio, you can get us there. Click the subscribe button. I've been told to tell you that. Also, Yog, I'm going to tell you this. When this is all over and settled, I would like to hear Mr. Imran Khan on this program. Mr. Imran Khan and Mr. Nagamutu as well. Two very eloquent gentlemen need to explain the workings of DPI, Department of Public Information, to the people of Guyana as well as the Guyana Chronicle, and the role in their view, as to how they believe it should work in a state where we in the 21st century, a developing state where state funds are being plugged into it, how they believe it should be worked. Should it be an extension of the arm of the administration, or should it be the people's voice? I would love to hear them come to the station, and then also we could talk about maybe a very good topic, which I think you would be more interested in. Maybe Freddie could come to, and let's talk about the abuse of state resources. These are things that I would love to talk about. We have invited you, sir. We've invited the PM. I think Yog would have said he has not received any
Correct.
any kind of notice. Not even so much, but it's good when you're seated in an office and you don't pay attention to the people. The people have a way of responding. But we are going to open the radio. I'm glad that it has been said that under this administration that you would have granted the radio station to Kaichor News. We thank you very much for that. We do believe that it's not yours to grant. It's a good Lord. We are going to use it responsibly, of course, and we are going to continue to do what we have been mandated to do for the people of Guyana. And talking about that, Yog, do you, behind my back, say one thing, and when you see me, you say good things? Because that is what is being said to Ralph Gonzalez and Mia Motley.
It's amazing how much. One of the things we can certainly say, we have learned a lot about Guyanese politicians. We have learned a lot by those people who are employed by the government of Guyana. We have certainly learned a lot about the leadership of the PNC and people who pre-2015 used to stand on a moral ground and be righteously indignant of the ills of the PPP, and now doing worse. And guess what? Making all kinds of excuses and reasons for doing worse. Case in point, as you rightly said, these same people defunded the Chronicle, defunded NCN. These same people defunded all the state media.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have turned and they have used this. And you know what they have done there too, Leonard? They have created the state media into something that they cannot stop anymore. Because when the next government comes into power, the next government going to say, par for the course. If the next government is going to say it's all custom and practice, we'll continue to do this because the last one did it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not sure the Guyanese people are going to tolerate that, Yog. This is something, and which is also, we'd have to have a discussion too, as to the role of the politicians, whether they understand it. I rather believe that they believe that we have voted them in so they could go in and fill their pockets, or it's because job for the boys. We keep hearing a lot of disillusioned members of the public sending us texts from time to time, and you read it, and they believe that all of them are a bunch of square pegs and round holes. You keep hearing that all the time. Do they understand that when somebody votes you into office, it's not about the money, but it's about service to the people? Let me repeat that, service to the people. It's like the police force, service to the people. Do we understand what it means to be a public servant? when you decide to join the public service, it is service to the people. So the ones that sit in parliament, our parliamentarians, our leaders, the president of Guyana, what do you want in terms of your legacy? Let me ask this. I asked Glenn Lal this question, or the issue came up last evening. Forgive me, Glenn, for talking about this on this particular way. But the question came up, these guys are going to live all over Guyana when this is finished, regardless who goes into government, Yog. What do you say to your neighbor who may probably be on the other ethnic side that may have gone for another political party? What do you say, or what does the kids in the school say to your kids? Maybe they point fingers at your kids, maybe as a politician, and they say, you know that guy there, his father, and I could speak like Freddie here, his father is the one who did this. They decide to hold this whole country in a state of suspension for 4 months. 4 months, Yog. How do you live with yourself and not want to leave a legacy? The legacy, this is something, if you go into office, this should be a privilege. It should be something that you would want to leave, that everybody, when the history books are written, that would say, Yog and Gildarie, I'm proud of you because you did this, and you did it with your heart, and you served the people of Guyana. I know that I'm sounding a little like a preacher today, Yog, but I'm very passionate. I woke up this morning, the lady said that she prayed for us, and so I wanted to share the little good things that I have in my heart to the people of Guyana, because if we don't start standing up and saying what is the correct thing and leading our people and showing them the way, this ain't got nothing to do with money. It has to do with me telling you that the oil that I have out there belongs to me. If you don't want it, I take in ownership of it. The gold that belongs in the back dam belongs to me. If you don't want to take ownership, I can take it. The bauxite that is in Region 10, that is in Linden, that is in Kwakwani, that is in Araima, belongs to me. I want to take ownership. I want to live the good life. I want to drive a Mercedes-Benz. So I'm going to demand that you give me the necessary revenues, the royalties that this country so deserves. I want you to give me a good road. I want you to clean my back fence over what is over the back fence. I want you to give me good drainage. I want you to give me good street lights. Those are things that I look forward to. When I go into the city, I expect to see clean roads. I expect to see clean parapets. I don't want to see anybody sleeping on the road. These are things that I look forward to. What is wrong with me asking that, Yog? This has to come from our hearts.
Correct. And I tell you something, Leonard. It is unfortunately, it is that attitude that a lot of the politicians have taken. So a lot of them have decided to say, okay, that gold is mine. I'm not going to share it with the people of Guyana. I must decide as a minister what must happen to the oil or what must happen to this, and what I can get for myself and my buddies and my family. That's what it is. So, Leonard, transparency has been really, really, really lacking in contracts, in things that they have done. I would still look forward, whether it's tomorrow or a year from now. I'm still looking forward that all of the lands, all of the gold mines, all of the secret contracts that were given out over the past number of years, all who get the mining concessions and everything, it needs to be published. It needs to be put in public domain. And then people can probably say, oh, no wonder why some people are fighting the way they are fighting. Because, Leonard, for some people to be doing what they're doing, I keep saying this on every day's program, and I'll repeat it very quickly. It got to be some people are getting some of these lands being shared out, some of the state assets. We are seeing photographs of trucks moving out with state assets. We are seeing things happening. And it got to be, this is why people are fighting up to keep their positions. I am asking for full disclosure of everything. If you're getting a duty free, let it be published. Let it become part of public domain. You see how quickly things start to straighten up, Leonard.
When people start go to jail, you might get a little better things, so I don't understand.
And I tell you what, you know, one of our brothers just sent this to me, and let me say thanks to our brother. Trinidad's elections, general elections, has been announced for August 2020. You know, look how many countries have come from behind, have completed their general elections, and they're moving on with their business. They're moving on with their countries. Look at Suriname. You know, and Leonard, something wrong here with these politicians. You know, I'm just gonna get too emotional to talk about it, but the hypocrisy and the lies and the tomfoolery and the sheer crookishness of some of them, we gotta continue to expose it.
Yes, Yog, and let me tell you before we go to the lines again. I think we in the mood to educate our people today because we see some things from the newspaper side that you may not be privileged to see. Let's take for example, there's a big gold company. I don't want to name because I'm not sure what the libel is part of it. There's not a libel here because everything is facts. It is public record, or let us say it's public record. A company came in here, became one of the biggest gold miners in Guyana that is in the Cuyuni-Mazruni area. That company, Guyana Goldfields, a Canadian company, nice concept. They were given hundreds of millions of dollars in concessions. And for those of you who don't understand, if you come in and invest in the company, in the country rather, and you've proven that you're bringing in so much employment and capital to invest, they would give you tax breaks, maybe a tax holiday. So don't pay tax a couple of years. If you want to bring in duty-free vehicles and equipment, we're going to give you the breaks on that, and so on and so forth. They even had fuel concessions that you don't pay so much tax as the other people, normal Guyanese like me and you, got to pay. And so that company came and started operating. I think it was commissioned in very early 2016, started commercial production, ran into problems. They decided that a Chinese company is going to take over now. That company made them an offer of 300 and something million US dollars. Guess what Guyana's getting out of that deal? Want to make a guess, Yog?
Educators.
Zero.
Wow.
Who that gold belong to? You? Me? The Chinese people? The Russians?
Wow.
Am I being any way that is overboard? Is something wrong with this picture, Yog? So that is the company is coming in. It's going to be taken over. It could be anybody. But when you have a deal, the Guyana government has to give the okay to that deal. Because the people that are going to come in, they're going to come in with new management. Maybe they need work permits. They need some other thing. But they have to okay the deal. You can't just come in and just take over and start working just like that. No country allows that. So there has to be some kind of oversight from Guyana. We're getting zilch out of that. So they're going to come in. They're going to probably say that we only made this kind of profit or that kind of production, and in the meantime it goes on merry way. They would get the concession, those tax breaks that the other company are getting. Did we give an okay on that? Now this is mirroring the oil deal that we would have had. So we give away our resources. We have no say in whatever you're doing here, and our country goes merrily along the way. When you open your mouth, Kaichur News bad, what is wrong with us asking or demanding that you go according to the rules, the regulations? Or maybe see if Glenn or Gildarie or Yog could get a little piece for himself because he's a citizen here, and he deserves that. He's entitled to that. He's the owner of that. Mm-hmm. It's simple. I can't put it simple than that. There's a caller line.
That's right.
Caller, good afternoon. You're here.
Hi, good afternoon, Mr. Gildarie.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
And Commodore.
Yes.
Let me assume that the core documents didn't get for a chance to reach Lowing Field. What the court you think should do from there? I listen to you or off here.
Thank you very much. You could probably, there is a summons that is issued, 3 summons issued by the court this morning. Find Keith Lowenfield, serve it on him. The person has asked the question.
Yeah, there are a number of things that could happen. One is the court could presume, after there's so much publicity about it, the court may very well presume notice has been received, and the court can proceed. And if you don't turn up, they can have an arrest warrant out for you. So I would just leave it like that. I mean, it's a unique period of time coming up, I rather suspect Mr. Loifi might want to say, look, I've been busy. I have to look at all of these reports. I've been busy following what's happening at the CCJ. I have to, so he might want to say that he doesn't want anything to affect his work and his focus on getting these elections out of the way. The dedication he has been showing to Leonard, let me just say this. The dedication Lowenfield has been showing towards giving the commission false numbers, fraudulent numbers. Had he shown the same dedication to the 2020 elections from day one, we might not have been here. Had he shown the same vigilance from day one, we might not have been here.
I'm going to be, I think a couple of people would be unfriending me today because I'm going to be very, very, even more brutal. The PSC has come out now with a statement, Yog, and they're expressing concern that the National COVID-19 Task Force appointed to coordinate and oversee the measures being taken by various frontline agencies and to give these agencies, especially our health workers, support they need, is not functioning in several key areas as would be expected. The PSC wishes to emphasize our disappointment in the manner in which the government has approached the management of the COVID-19 crisis, which daily threaten the lives and the economic welfare of all citizens and businesses of Guyana. And it goes on talking about some other situation. But this is what you and I have been talking about this COVID-19 task force and what they should be doing and what Imran Khan should be doing. And what the Prime Minister should be doing instead of going all over the television overseas and maybe Grenada and Jamaica and so on. You need to come on the radio stations, maybe hold a press conference. I can't remember the last time that you held a press conference, PM. You need to hold a press conference and tell the people of Guyana about what is it that you're doing as chairman of the task force. Are you receiving, by the way, sir, any kind of benefit with regards to that chairperson? Is it part of your portfolio? We need to know. But you need to hold a press conference. It's been weeks now. We have not heard anything from you except that maybe a statement coming out at 8 o'clock in the night or maybe in the morning sometime, which doesn't allow us to raise questions in some other areas. So, Yog, maybe some comments from you before we go back to the line.
Leonard, I wish to humbly disagree with you. We have spent time inviting persons to come on our discussion programs. I've stopped. You know why? Why should I? They obviously have the Guyana RAG, they have NCN, they have all their state assets. I'm not going to waste time to provide a platform for them to come spout lies anymore. Yes, we continue to be available, but the moment Moses Nagamutu wants to come and talk, I am saying publicly, you're welcome to come and talk. But I want to have somebody another politician from the other side of the bench, the two of you can sit and talk. Look, when Trinidad the other day had some call-in programs, and they had an APNU representative and they had a PPP representative. But you know what, Leonard, they didn't want to do that here. They don't want to come here and have that kind of debate. But overseas, they will go and do it. Now, it is very clear what's happening. And this thing about the votes, I just want to repeat this. It's important we repeat this every day. Valid votes. I support that it must only be valid votes that must count in any election. But the validity of a vote must not be dependent on one man's whims and fancies. A validity of a vote must not be dependent upon Granger say-so or Norton say-so or any one of them. They did not cast my ballot for me. Why must they want for my ballot to be thrown away or to be burned by Lowenfield? My vote must count. Every vote must count. The validity test of the votes were passed on March the 2nd by Granger, Basil Williams, Claudette Singh, Keith Lowenfield. All of them came out and boasted that these elections were the best ever in Guyana. But they know how they want to rig and how they want to steal. And everyday Guyanese people are seeing their very, very blatant efforts at wanting to get rid of people's votes. And I still believe that Lowenfield will have to answer one day for wanting to get rid of 115,000 votes, because he dare not get rid of a box in which I voted. And because I don't know whether that is so, I will have to ask the court to assure me that my vote was counted.
Some of these texts, the goal was five months ago, the goal news. Yes, it was. It was a couple months back with the workers being there, and then they were looking at some other buyers. Yes, it is, but we're looking at the details of the deal, which is what is Guyana going to get. Go ahead, Yog.
That tells us, that question, that statement that the person sent us, tell us how surreal things are in Guyana. The election was 4 months ago. 5 months ago was the period upon which campaigning was going on, when all the deals started to be made. So 5 months ago is not a long time. Election is just 4 months ago, Leonard.
That's right.
And election's not over as yet. You see the point?
Yep. I'm really sorry about that, but today is that kind of day, and so we are going to raise these questions. Good afternoon, gentlemen. You remember the song that they played at camping that says, "Backward never, forward ever, they should turn it around." I think that's a pretty good one. There's a caller online. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air. We missed that one. Granger and team have no morals and integrity, and we all know that. They disobey the court while the ordinary man have to obey the law. Why are they bigger than the law? In my opinion, I think the disciplined forces and Granger and the team are the same kind. They have no moral values. If the courts and talks are not working, then what? These people are blatant. And that's coming from one of the viewers, the listeners. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Lowenfield, the sanctimonious consigliere. I believe there's a Italian word. It's an Italian word.
Yeah.
Yes. Following the footsteps of his master, the power is with the people and justice will prevail. Stay safe and God bless. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I agree with Dr. Yog. Don't waste precious time, airtime, on fraudulent minds. Use the time for progressive and intelligent minds who want nothing but the best for Guyana. Keep up the good work. Stay safe. God bless. God bless you too. And so, very quickly, I think there's a statement that's coming out here from La Roque. Let me see if I could read this. This is the Secretary General of CARICOM. Yog, just bear with me because these are breaking news. CARICOM Secretary General, this is Ambassador Orwin La Roque, says that he has every confidence in the work conducted by the high-level CARICOM delegation in Guyana during the Reconquer exercise. And Ambassador La Roque at the time was delivering remarks at the 20th special meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM, which was held virtually earlier today. I want to take this opportunity to thank the independent CARICOM Observer team, to the recount of the Guyana general and regional elections for this personal sacrifice to answer the call to service. The team was in Guyana by invitation, and willingly spent 46 days during the pandemic. I have every confidence in the work they've produced, the CARICOM, as he told regional heads. The Secretary General explained that over the past 6 months, the region was faced with many challenges, including having to deal with the ongoing electoral crisis in Guyana, as we sought to maintain the reputation of the community as the bastion of democracy. He reminded that the 5 prime ministers, 1/3 of the leadership of the Caribbean community, visited Guyana to hold talks with the political leadership in an effort to resolve the electoral crisis and to ensure that democracy prevailed in the end. I'm going to send this to you, very, very strong statement, Yog, but yes, it is reflective of how seriously CARICOM has been viewing this Guyana situation, how dear CARICOM holds Guyana. And when we talk about pulling ourselves out from CARICOM, it is idiots who make those kind of statements. I'm not going to beat words out. I think I could say that. I'm not even beginning, because Barnum would be turning his grave right now. He was one of the persons who helped put the CARICOM together, if I recall, Yog. He was the one that says CARICOM, we opening the company headquarters here. I think they at one point in time, do you know that CARICOM was at the Bank of Guyana building? I think they had an office
Yes.
there. So we and CARICOM and Guyana has an interlinked role in the whole formation of the regional integration process. We've been working very hard. We've been issuing statements talking about free movement, free skills, everything being shared. If you want to go work in Trinidad, you don't need anything. Just come get a certificate and they shouldn't stop you because you're a CARICOM resident. And these are things that we should not forget easily. So when somebody, because CARICOM or the leaders haven't been saying something you don't agree with, let's pull out. Pull out and go where? Let's pull out from Commonwealth to give up your visa. If you have a visa to the U.S., give it up.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
So
and Leonard, all those, you're right. All those who are calling for these people to not have a voice. Let me just remind you of this. Excuse me. I saw somebody attacking, for example, Glenn Hanuman. I saw somebody posting that, this is Glenn Hanuman who is a lawyer taking this Lowenfield matter to court, and this is the same gentleman who was standing in front of the policemen at the GCOM building and threatening the policemen that he need to have access to the GCOM building. Leonard, they're forgetting that we have seen it all on video. We have seen how the police put everybody out of the GCOM building, and now we see why Lowenfield is saying the documents are missing. We have seen everything, but somehow or the other, Leonard, I wish to repeat this thing. ACNU AFC continues to behave like as if when Mingo did his mischief, like everybody in the building supposed to start sing a hymn and be like sheep and not raise a word, not raise a protest. That's what they want everybody, to be, not raise a protest. And that is ridiculous.
I know some very good hymns. I'm not sure whether it's appropriate for me to sing it here. But what is appropriate is we take a call from one of our good people. Good day, caller, you on the air? Yes, good day. Yes. In the meantime, Yog, very quickly, before we come, I think we're running out of time. Hello, Leonard and Yog. I'm from England, London, England, and my English friends are ridiculing me because of the Guyana Election Commission. Because of the Guyana elections, I'm ashamed to be a Guyanese in this English community. And this is coming from somebody who said that the name is Bob. I hear you, Bob. I think we hear you. Good afternoon, gentlemen. I strongly believe that there will be military intervention after the CCJ ruling on Wednesday because now arbitrarily Granger sent off Mr. West and installed one of his loyalists. That guy have been working at the office of the president ever since Granger became president. And besides, I didn't know this, he was working at the office of the president since he became president. And besides, he was one of the handpicked to run the army. Even if West was sent off on pre-retirement leave, his deputy should have been next in line. Why didn't Granger do the same for the cop, the commissioner of police, and his deputy like he did with West? And this was a question that was asked earlier this week. So maybe, Yogi, you want to wade in there or say nothing?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is a good question as to who was next in line and whether the person was bypassed. I think it's something that Kaiser News might want to look at. I would want to remind everybody that Brigadier Bess said, if you allow me to read this, Leonard, Brigadier Bess, who is 54 years old, 51, I think, right? 51. I bring to this appointment performing the duties of the Chief of Staff, Energy. The Guyana Defense Force has been mandated by law to defend and protect our national patrimony. As Chief of Staff, I see it as a sacrosanct duty, and we work hard to ensure that we continue to defend the integrity of our country. I think, yes, his Bess is 51, and he has replaced West. So I got a little mixed up with the names there. I think he has also said that we are trained to support the democratically elected government of the day. Full stop.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So two best and a west. Two best and a west. That's what we have for the Army. Last night's 592 was a masterpiece. Keep the good work up. There's another caller in line. Caller, good afternoon. You on air?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
You know how long I try to call you?
It's your problem. You got to blame you for that. Go ahead.
Congratulate you each day and each word I attack. I'm so happy and glad. Mm-hmm. And I could take it in. You are like a preacher, man.
Thank you.
Even one time I must come up in quarantine.
What part in quarantine is there?
Maybe half a quarantine. I must come and see how people are punished. Go to Skeleton Market. And so people are beg to buy and nobody not buy. But if you get a bag of thing and you share it, people collect because then they get money to buy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, really appreciate each word what I say.
Appreciate it, ma'am. Where from? Where from?
58 Village.
58 Village, right. That does pass 40.
You know, I'm so blessed. And how much day I try to call I and I get through. And I'm so blessed, Pickney. Gotta go read. I ordained by God. And
right.
You see, if this estate work back, people get sale in the market. Agriculture work again. People plan a farm. Car go get work a road. A lot of things go work. But me don't know what will happen. I've been there for 4 months and I don't know what happened with my life.
Well, pray. I think things would happen. Pray, move mountains.
I pray each time I'm Christian, and each time I pray have devotion and pray just that God make a change in this country.
Mm-hmm.
Things really bad with people. Some people not get meals. Many homes are broken because why people not get work, then why you forgot to take somebody else. Them man will smoke dope, them a drink rum, children are street.
Mm-hmm.
And ain't the truth. And so, you know...
That is very sad.
You know, it tells that anyone, any fool can be a father, but it takes someone special to be a dad. And this dad will be get like a stepfather. Only he look after he people and not the other side people. You understand what I tell you?
Yes.
I really appreciate I pick him and listen to I night.
Thank you.
Day.
All
I
right,
really appreciate I, babe. And I continue to do the work.
Thank you very much, and to all those people around the Skeleton, Riverton, Port Morant, Rose Hall area. Good day to you from Kaicho Radio, Dr. Yog Mahadeo, myself, Leonard Gildarie. Yog, this evening, as we come to that time to say goodbye for this afternoon, very passionate time for me, especially. Could you tell us as to what we could expect from room 592?
We have no other than attorney at law, Mr. Selwyn Peters, joining us tonight in room 592. It'll be an interesting discussion because Selwyn has been very outspoken. He has been on the forefront fighting for human rights issue. Selwyn won a huge case, you know, Leonard. I don't think many people know this, but Selwyn Peters has won a huge case in Canada, where he took the association to court for a matter of racial discrimination, and he won at the Court of Appeal.
Mm-hmm.
So Selwyn Peters comes to us with wide background. He can practice in both Guyana and in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. He comes to us with also his experience of having been an observer in these same 2020 elections here. So we're looking forward for a good conversation tonight with him.
Absolutely, and so I'm going to be looking forward to that too. Maybe there's a quick caller online. Yes. Good afternoon, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, good afternoon, Mr. Gildarie. You and Dr. You.
Yes, sir.
I heard a caller said about the little children going to study the NGS examination.
Yes.
They require the name and the number.
Yes.
I agree with that caller. The person who's writing the test of that child, they should never know who they're writing, who they are market for.
Mm-hmm.
The child identity should always be hidden.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. And this thing was done, I think, if I can remember, was 2016. Prior to that, they never used to put the name. The name was not required. This is what I want to make a note of, right? Thank you.
All right, we continue to investigate it. Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you very much. Yes.
And God bless.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And God bless you and Dr. Yogi.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Yes.
you very much.
Thank you.
So if you've missed it here, we are with you with elections and COVID-19 watch with myself, Leonard Gildarie, Dr. Yog Mahadeo. Very quickly to what we would have been talking about today. The headlines is that before the courts today, the private criminal charges that were filed by candidate, I think it's Dr. Josh Kanai, a doctor has filed. He was a candidate for one of the new parties, and he would have filed private criminal charges against Keith Lowenfield, Chief Elections Officer. There was a no-show by Keith Lowenfield, and the court has issued orders based on the request from Glenn Hanneman, attorney at law, Glenn Hanneman, who is a special prosecutor in this case, for orders to be issued by the court, and the court so did grant it. For it to be served, summons to be served on Keith Lowenfield. We're not sure at this point in time whether it was served. We would have seen statements coming out from the Private Sector Commission criticizing the handling of the COVID-19 situation by the task force and by extension the government. We would have seen statements coming out from the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Karen Cummins, who is giving kudos to outgoing leader or chairman of the CARICOM, Mia Mottley, Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, stating how she has done a remarkable job. And this is in stark contrast to the criticism by the administration and others as to Motley's role in the recount process, the election process in Guyana. She would have or been in charge of sending a team to Guyana. And when that report come out, there were many criticisms by the coalition, which, according to the recount figures, has lost the election, lost the presidency. There is also news coming out from the COVID-19 task force, which is indicating that several areas in Region 7 has been closed to mining because of outbreak of COVID-19 there. So as we come down to the wrap-up time, we could also very quickly look at the headlines here. The government issued a businessman, a developer, 30 acres of prime land. The problem with that, the transaction, he did not even pay it, and he didn't even know, and the transaction was gazetted and put in his name or his company's name without he even knowing that it was there. So very disturbing news coming out there. I am hoping that NISIL puts out a statement which is going to indicate what really transpired here. Winston Jordan leaves Guyana in $1.3 billion debt for 2019. That is the end of year statement that is coming out. And 3 of 4 top members of the elected coalition government in nearby Suriname tested positive for COVID-19. This is exclusive of the Chan Santoki, who is tipped to become the next president of Suriname. We go down below. Voters impersonation just not possible. Lowenfield in 2015. He's reversed that and say, well, this year, in the election that he oversaw, many dead people voted, and there was other people voting twice and thrice, and it would have happened thousands. Of course, he's saying same elections. He is been tasked to oversee as the chief elections officer. Lowenfield to face court today. Well, we talked about that. So that in itself is a roundup of what we would have had for you today. This evening, like last evening, we're going to have a very interesting discussion by an observer who would have participated in the 2020 election and an attorney at law who's based in Canada, none other than attorney at law Selwyn Peters, as Yog would have said. So we're going to be with you at 7:30 p.m. sharp to talk about elections 2020 and other issues. right here on Kite Show Radio 99.1, 99.5. You can get a copy or you can watch this program back by going to Kite Show Radio on YouTube, on Facebook. And if you're on YouTube, we ask you to subscribe there. I've been asked to ask you that. It helps us and it's going to give you the notifications whenever we go live. So, Yog, as usual, thank you very much, my brother, and I'm going to see you back this evening rather, at 7:30 p.m. sharp. So take care until then. And to all the people across this beautiful land of ours and wherever you would have been joining us from, I want to say thank you. It has been an engaging time. And of course, let us keep, as Yog would always say, keep praying for Guyana and hope that this is over with and done very quickly. Thank you very much.
COVID-19 tips sponsored by Dex Soap. 1. Practice social distancing. 2. Wear your mask when leaving the house. 3. Wash your hands regularly for 20 seconds using our Dex Soap. 4. Cover your nose and mouth with a disposable tissue or flex elbow when you cough or sneeze. Choose Dex Soap for that extra cleanliness. Dex Soap is affordable and available nationwide.
Kite Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.